the answer to these three questions we just talked about. What is a system of equations? Let's write it down for ourselves so that we remember. Who can tell me? We just talked about it on the other page. More than one. Yep. More than one line. Perfect. Who said that? Nice. All right. What is a solution to a system of equations? What am I looking for when I graph these? The intersection point. So the coordinate of the intersection point. Intersection point. And can someone give me one of the three possible outcomes? I might find this, I might find this, or I might find this. Give me one of them. No solution. I might find no solution if there's parallel lines. What else could happen? I might find the intersection point, x comma y. And what's the third thing that might happen? Infinite, sure, many solutions. So all the points on the line. So I'm looking for one of these three solutions. And then a good test question would be for you to explain, when will you find each of these solutions? When the lines are parallel, when the lines intersect each other, and when the lines are the same on top of each other. So think about that for in a couple weeks when we have a test on Unit 1. That would be a good question to show your understanding on all things graphing lines, right? All right, let's do number 1 together. So it says graph the system and then state the solution. So this is what you're going to be doing today and for the homework to practice graphing. All right away, I can't graph this in this format, right? What am I going to do to get y equals? If I'm multiplying by 2, what can I do? Divide by 2. So I'm going to go through and divide this entire equation by 2, and I'm going to write it next to that equation. So I'll have y equals 4x, because 8 divided by 2, and then minus 9. So that's my first line that I'm going to graph. So let's go ahead and graph that line. I start at -9 on the y-axis, and I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. Sorry, they didn't graph very dark, did they? They didn't copy very dark. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. I'm not sure where the intersection point is, so I left myself a few dots. Hopefully it'll intersect on one of those dots for me. All right. So there's my purple line. Started at -9, slope of 4. I'm going to graph the other line in a different color. All right, so, oh, this is a yucky equation. How can I get y by itself so I can graph this line? Because if I tried to plug in 0, I'm going to get some decimals for my x and y intercepts. I think it's easier to put it in slope-intercept form. What would you do first? How do I get y by itself? That's a strategy. Who said that? You would add y. Why is adding y a good strategy? That puts y as a positive y on the right-hand side. And then you still would need to do one more step. Let's go with that strategy. I kind of like it, because then I get rid of having a negative y. So now I'll have 3x equals y plus 7. I'm not quite ready to graph it yet. What do I have to do next? I need to get the y by itself. So subtract the 7 to the other side of the equation. 3x minus 7 equals y. Can I read the equation in this order? Sure. It's just reversed. This is y equals mx plus b. If it makes you feel better to rewrite it, y equals 3x minus 7, that's just symmetry over the equal sign. So either way, I can tell what the y-intercept is, and I can tell what the slope is. This one might be tricky because they look close together. All right, I'm going to start at -7 on the y-axis, and I'm going to walk up 1, 2, 3 over 1, up 1, 2, 3 over 1. It looks like they intersect right at that point. See how they overlap right there? So I'm going to connect my black dots here. Now, the most important thing is that you answer the question. What is this coordinate where they intersected? I'm at 2, -1. So make sure that you end the problem. Don't get all excited like you found the intersection point, moving on. Make sure you actually write what the solution is. All right. The next one, I'm going to graph them in purple and black again. So this line is ready to graph, right? Y equals 3x minus 5. So go ahead and graph that line. Go to -5 on the y-axis and graph yourself your slope of up 3 over 1. -5, up 1, 2, 3 over 1, up 1, 2, 3 over 1, 1, 2, 3 over 1. Hopefully it'll intersect on one of those points. All right, I got to do a little bit of work on this second equation. I'm going to do it the other strategy this time. So instead of moving the y to the other side, I'm going to subtract the 6x to the other side so that it's y equals at the end. I'm going to write it up here so I have a little bit more room. -2y equals -6x plus 14, because those are not like terms, so keep them separated. What do I do next to get the y by itself? Divide by -2 across the whole problem, right? If it helps to circle the y value, you want to get y by itself, right? So I'm going to divide by -2, divide by -2, divide by -2. All right, what's a negative divided by a negative? So I have positive 3x, and then I have -7. Something looks funky about this. Can anyone identify what's going to happen when I graph it? Parallel. I have the exact same slope, don't I? But I started a different y-intercept. So I'm going to graph it so that I finished graphing this one, but then I already know the solution. I'm at -7, up 1, 2, 3 over 1. So I can just show that the two lines are parallel to each other. And I need to write my solution. What's your solution when you have parallel lines? There is no solution, but you need to write down NS or no solution. Tell me what the answer is, because no solution is actually an answer. All right, one more together, and then I'm going to set you on the back page, see if you can find the intersection points on your own. All right, I've got 3 lines, and I'm going to graph them all on the same axis. There will only be an answer if they all intersect at one point. So these are set up for you. I can graph, I'm going to graph them in different colors. So here's a purple line. I start at 4, and I'm going to go up 6 over 1. So I start at 4. Up 6 over 1 puts me at the top at 10, and down 6 over 1 puts me down here at -1. So there, I like the ruler just because it's kind of hard with 3 lines. So there's my purple line. I'm going to do this one with my black pen, and this one is already set to graph, right? Slope-intercept form, y equals -2x minus 4. So I can start at -4 on the y-axis, and I'm going to go down 2 over 1. Ooh, and I hit this point right here when I go up 2 over 1. So I hope that's going to be the answer. I'll have to check what happens with the third line in a minute, but I already got an intersection point of the black and the purple. So the other line hopefully will intersect at that point. If not, there's no solution. All right, I'm going to do the last one in red. What do I have to do to get y by itself first? Divide by 2. Divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. Y equals 1/2 x, minus 1.5. Can you have a y-intercept that's a decimal? Sure you can. You just got to start halfway in between -1 and -2. And guess what? When I have a slope of a half, won't it hit that point when I go backwards anyway? So just kind of confirming that the red line ends up hitting that same intersection point. So what's the answer? What is the coordinates of that point right there? What, comma, what? Someone tell me. X is -1 and Y is -2. So my final answer to get full credit on a test or a quiz is actually recording that the solution is -1, comma, -2. X, comma, Y. All right, I will walk around, or vice versa. I don't know. So for this first one, we want to subtract the 2x to the other side. I actually saw a lot of people do this problem perfectly. So we get 6y equals -2x plus 18. And then we divide by 6. Some of you were having trouble reducing this fraction. I just want to show you this magic key on the calculator. So a lot of you took -2 and you divided by 6 on your calculator. So if I take -2 and divide by 6, I get this ugly 0.333 repeating. If you're not sure what fraction that is, the math key, which is right here under the alpha button, is your best friend for fractions. Under the math key, there's a fraction button that will convert any answer that you have into a fraction for you. So it's under the math key fraction. And see how that took that -0.333 and told me that's the fraction -1/3? So let's take another example. What if I want to reduce the fraction 24/36? And I get 0.667. If I hit math fraction, it'll tell me that's the fraction 2/3. Because when you're doing slope, you really want it to be a fraction. So now I have y equals -1/3 x plus 3. There were many of you that did the 18 divided by 6 mental math wrong. Just at the beginning here, do the mental math, but then check it on the calculator, because I really want your mental math to get strengthened, and I love that you're practicing it. But if it's on a quiz or a test and you get the wrong mental math answer, then you're graphing it wrong. So take the time and just double check it on a calculator right at the beginning of the year here. Okay, so I'm starting at 3 and I have a slope of -1/3. That's what a negative slope looks like. And it would be all points on the line is my solution. And a lot of you knew that it was all points on the line, but you had the slope graphed incorrectly on your graph. All right, the next one. This problem scared you. A lot of you skipped it. X equals 5 is a vertical line. Remember, slope dude, undefined. So it's at 5, vertical line. And you also were scared that there was no number in front of the X. It's a -1/1 when there's no number written there. So you're going to start at 7 as your y-intercept and go down 1/1 until you intersect your vertical line. And I don't think many people got this problem. So that would be a good one to focus on maybe for the homework if there's a vertical line. This is at what? 5,2. So 5,2 would have been the correct answer. Did anyone get that in the end? I corrected a few of you. Did some? I see some nods. Some of you successfully got 5,2. Perfect. All right. Number 6. I think most of you were able to figure out number 6. You started at 1, had a slope of 2. So there's my first line. Divided by 2 in the original equation, y equals 2x minus 3. And you said, aha, this is a parallel line. So down at -3, slope of 2, there would be no solution, right? So empty set, no solution. They never intersect each other. All right, and then number 7 took a little bit of work. Subtract the 4x to the other side. 8y equals -4x plus 16. And then you have to go through and divide by 8. And most of you figured out this is the same equation as the other one, right? -1/2 x plus 2. So again, start at 2, slope of negative 1/2. It's the same line on top of each other. So it's all points on the line is your solution. All right, so for homework tonight, you're doing that exact thing on homework 1 too. Graphing, there's 8 problems, and every single problem is set up in slope-intercept form for you. So there's no algebra to manipulate. You just take the slope and the y-intercept. They all should have an intersection point that's on a grid. So if they're not on a grid line, you did something wrong. So do it in pencil. I think you could go 8 for 8 on those because they're all set up as y equals. All right, so this last piece that I'm going to have you try, something a little bit different. Graphing calculator. Let's have the calculator do the work for us because some of us are struggling on graphing lines. So could everyone get out a graphing calculator? Because you have to practice typing in yourself. Everyone has one at their desk? A graphing one? Okay, I have an extra one of these bins. Who else needs a calculator? You all have one? There's not an extra in any of your bins, are there? You need one. Okay. Can you check your, you got one? All right, I have one up here. So you can have, you need one? You need one. I think I had another one in my backpack. Here's one. Then does everyone have one? I think that's the last one I have. So you need one, you have one? All right. I hope you know how to graph a little bit on these, but the more practice with a graphing calculator, I feel like the better. So take out this. I need to stop.